The name is Bootsy, baby. Bootzilla, that is. Bootzilla! Yeah, Baba. And I'm Roto-Rooter troubleshooter. Yeah, make those troubles go on down the drain. And I just want you to know we're here at the Bootzilla Rehab, and we're getting ready to rehash some trash. Yeah, some garbage from the funk drive, keeping that funk all the way live, baby. Yeah, right here. This is where we do it. This is where we do it to it. Yeah, so let's go.
Tell me how you feel about Cincinnati. What does Cincinnati mean to you?
Ah, man, Cincinnati, what Cincinnati means to me is this is where I grew up. This is where I was born. Not actually out here in the rehab, but in in the West End downtown. They call it over the Rhine. That's where I was born. I grew up down there and just kind of skipped around. Whenever the rent was due, we did the skippity doo dah day, because when the rent was due, mama didn't have it. So we had to move in a whole lot of different sections: Avondale, Evanston, Mount Auburn, Lincoln Heights. I mean, you name it, we were there. So all around this town, and I just got people and friends and fans and just everywhere in every neighborhood. And it was like that before I even got to be Bootsy. I mean, Bootsy to the world. So, I was able to kind of dip and dab with all the different communities, before I even, got with James Brown. So to me, that was a big deal, and I still keep that same relationship. And it's about unity in the community. And I feel good being in that position to be able to give and receive, and it's just such a beautiful thing. I wouldn't want to. I've had places in L.A. Detroit was my second home, those kind of things, and which they all have their great, great things about them. But Cincinnati was home for me. My mother, she from Nashville. She came here and she had us, and when I say us, that's the catfish, the guitar player catfish, my sister Brenda, and I'm the baby, Bootsy baby. And so Cincinnati was always number one for me, and they always accepted me. They would never play my music, but who cares? It's like, that's some stuff we had to go through and learn that you never loved like that in your hometown, which was great. It was a great lesson for me, and it's still a great lesson, you know. And so I think that push and pull thing is what really made me want to stay here. I knew what I was up against, you know. It's like knowing your friends, knowing your enemies, but they all cool.
Could you just kind of maybe give us a little tour of the place and just tell us where we are and what this room is?
What this represents to me is how I see the world. I mean, it's like it's not just a certain genre, It's like I love it all. Even if I don't know how to play it, I love the artists. I love the people that's doing it, because they all give us different points of views. And I think the more open to that, the more you'll be able to relate inside the world, and that's what I want to be like. All of these, I don't want to just be, just me. That's it. I want to engulf all of them. A piece of this, a piece of that, a piece of this, and I want to be able to, even if I don't understand it, it's like they all give something to the world, and even if I don't know them, I want to respect them and thank them for what they give, because I know about the giving because I'm giving, and it's a difficult thing. You know, it's a real difficult, especially when you're young and don't know the business. You know, and you just out here giving your art, giving your art, and I think now is the best time for artists as far as business wise, because we didn't know nothing. I mean, you know, we was dumb to the whole fact of the business side. It was all about the music. You know, now it's about business and music. When I was coming up, it was about the music and then business. At least that's the way I thought until James Brown corrected me. You know, and when he said it, 75% business, 25% music, I didn't understand that because I was so into the music, I didn't have no grip on the business, you know, but he did. And he was trying to tell me something for my own good, but I was a young, stupid kid, you know, growing up in the hood. And so later on, I learned that he was right. You know, if you want to be able to deal out here and stay out here and make this a living, at the time, I wasn't even thinking about making a living. I was just having fun, you know. And so all of us growing up, we were just having a great time. And all these people you see around here, I'm sure they went through some of the same kind of thing. You know, the music was one thing, was the beauty of it all. But the curse was the business, because none of us knew how to take care of it, you know? And it was like, what for? You know, we just having, you know, get some wine, some weed, you know, a few chicks, we have a great time. That's all we wanted, you know?
Yeah.
But it's different now.
Did you look at yourself as a collector?
No, no. The whole thing with me keeping stuff was not because, you know, I'm gonna keep this because on down the road, like way on down the line, it's gonna be worth a lot of money, or you know, it's like you're gonna be able to show people what you used, you know, back in that, you know, back in that time. I wasn't even thinking about none of that stuff. I was just thinking, I don't want nobody to have this but me. You know, this is my, even my mother, she wanted me to throw stuff away. I was like, nah, you know, I gotta keep this. Even when it stopped working, you know, I had things that stopped working, and, you know, I'd find somebody to get it fixed. You know, it's like nowadays, you know, that old stuff, you can barely find people to fix that stuff. But it's always somebody. You know, you just have to search. You know, and that's what I wind up doing, was searching to find out who can fix this. You know, and it's been a heck of a journey. Just that alone. You know, the gear, the equipment. And, you know, even my brother would tell me he wanted to get rid of his guitars, you know, the ones he played with James, and the ones he played with Funkadelic. And I was like, no. And I couldn't explain to him why you should keep them. You know, it's just, I wouldn't get rid of that, you know. And to this day, I got them.
Yeah.
You know, I got them. Actually, one of the, you wouldn't know it now because he painted it.
Yeah.
See that blue one up there by my house?
Yeah.
That's the one he played with James Brown.
Oh, wow, it looks
Well,
modern.
he painted it, but it's a deep blue
Yeah.
that he painted. And I'm like, why you paint it? You know. But then, you know, we were all kind of, you know, gone, you know. So, but he was an alcoholic, so, you know, it's like, why you painted blue, man? You know. So
When did, you know, being that you had that guitar in front of you, when did the bass reveal itself as something where you could fully express yourself through?
I think it went through phases, you know. Like when I started off, I was playing guitar, and when this group called the Christian Heirs, they were a gospel group, I was like about 11 years old, and I ran into the guitar player that played with this gospel group. And he used to come down the street on the corner and he would play for the kids and, and we just kind of hit it off, and he said to me, he noticed that I practiced and, I wasn't in no group at that time yet. Yeah, right. But I wasn't in the group, but he said, you need to, come on and join our group, and you can play the bass notes. I say, but I got a guitar. He said, yeah, just play it on that. So he was really hyped on. He saw something in me. I don't know what. I'm 11 years old, looking crazy, and trying to learn how to play the guitar. And so he offered me to come on down to their rehearsal. I came down to rehearsal. It was 6 of them, 6 gospel singers. He was the guitar. I was the bass player without a bass. I had a guitar. That was my bass, right? So that is the very beginning of me, like expressing myself, but not knowing exactly who I was yet. It was all about, at that particular time, it was all about just playing and getting a vibe, from people that, wow, sound great, man. That vibe just helped, it's like, dang, I don't think I want to do anything else. This is, So that rode on over into getting with my brother Catfish. That's a whole nother story. Once I got to Catfish, being able to play with him, because that's what I always wanted to do. Once I got to hook up with him, that is when I knew we got something. I knew, and it wasn't about me yet, So it was all about building this group, this band. When I got with my brother, it was 3 of us: guitar, bass, and the drummer. Once I locked into that, I knew it was all about the band, And from that day on, when we got with James Brown, I started to really know, wow, this is gonna be it. This is, I didn't even say to myself, this is gonna be my way of life, or this is gonna be my, what do you always say? Something about living, the way I make a living. I wasn't thinking about the way I make a living. I was just thinking about, the vibe that this is creating in me and the cats that, you playing with. They were all kind of pumped because I was the youngest one. I'm like 8 years younger than my brother, and 10 and 15 years old younger than, all the cats he hung around with. And so that kind of thing, forget about just playing the guitar or bass. It was like the vibe they were giving me, because I was the youngest thing out there, that was getting in that chitlin circuit, that was too young to play in the clubs, but played anyway, because they helped get me in, and so it was a journey with that, trying to not find myself, because I wasn't really looking for myself. I felt like I was already there. I was really, really amazed about the learning process from everybody. Everybody I ran into, it was a learning process, and I'm still learning, and so I would never say that when I found myself, but I will say that once I got with George, Parliament, Funkadelic, that is where I had to find myself, because everybody was so gone. stomachs was so blown. I mean, you know, it's like I had to like, okay, you know, just settle down for a second, you know. And what helped me was being with James Brown with the ABC, the basic Army thing, you know, just heel and toe or you gonna blow, you know, right here, you know. So when I got with George, it was everywhere, you know. But I had already learned how to give it to you on the one. So that is the thing, the only thing that really stabilized me with all this other stuff that was going on that I was looking forward to. Not only I was looking forward to, everybody was looking forward to this experience, you know. But the thing I think that kept me safe was the one.
So lessons from James.
Yeah,
That,
yeah,
kept you
yeah.
grounded with.
He didn't know that he was doing that for me,
Yeah.
because he was too busy cutting my head off. You know, I mean, which was cool. You know, but I just started to realize that, you know, he really was doing more for me than he would ever think. You know.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Speaking of cutting your head off, I'm gonna show you something.
Uh-oh.
And you tell me. Wait till I sit down.
Okay.
Absorb it and tell me what this is.
Oh, man. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. You got the receipt. That's deep. Yeah. Yeah, 1970. Wow. Well, this is just one of them, right? You know, the fine. Dang, I forgot it was that much. $20. That's pretty deep, man. I must have really failed on something. Yeah, I remember these days, man. You know, but again, I wouldn't trade them for the world. You know, I mean, $20 to play with James. I'll do it. I'll do it over and over and over. No, it was great. It was great. And when he did do it, you know, a lot of times it wasn't even you. It didn't have to be you. He was showing everybody that I'm in charge and I'm over everybody, you know. He never found really catfish, you know. And it wasn't just because catfish was really on it, because he was really on it, but at the same time, he admired Cat in another kind of way, other than me. He gonna teach this long-haired sucker youngster, you know, that he ain't all this and he ain't all that. So he stayed down on me, you know, even when I didn't blow. You know, he said I blew, and this is one of them. He blew.
So I got something else from.
Oh
same
no!
time.
Oh
No,
no!
There's nothing bad here.
Oh
But this is
God!
just if you could take me back to this time and place. This is a receipt from one of the tours with James with the JBs from 1970. So if you could just tell us what it was like touring in 1970 with James. Just take us through. You're in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh,
in this particular
downtowner,
show.
yeah. Wow. Man, look at that. Is that $3.28? $5, 14, 17. Wow. Oh man. I tell you, we had so much fun. So much fun traveling on that bus. You know, the bus was full of us, you know. And when we got to the hotel, he would he would pull as close as he could to the, you know, where you sign in at. We got to the hotel, and, you know, we were able to, I think it was two people in a room. Yeah, me and Cat. No, it was me and Chicken, because we were the same age. Chicken was the trumpet player that came from here, from Cincinnati, with the band we took, out with James Brown. And so me and him was roomies, and all the chicks who come to the hotel, they would come to our room. And that's what I remember most about this hotel and all the rest of them, This was our stomping grounds, man, and we just had a blast. And, what it was most of the day we was rehearsing. Once we go to the gig, do the gig, then when we had time, or when James allowed us to just stay the night, because a lot of times he liked for us just to leave, right after the gig, because he wanted to go to a studio or he wanted to rehearse or any of that kind of stuff. He would do anything to keep us from having a good time, without him. So we loved it when we got a chance to stay overnight. And this particular hotel, we got a chance to stay overnight, and we had a blast. Yeah, that's what I remember about this one.
Thank you.
Man, where you digging up all this stuff on me, man?
You gotta ask Patty. She's the one.
God, oh man, yeah. You guilty?
Hi.
Oh my God,
That's Bootsy Vault, baby.
that's so sad. That's so
These
sad.
are the things that fascinate, collectors and people like us. This is, just a piece of history.
Wow.
Undeniable. I mean, the Downtowner motor, and I bet that's not there no more.
Right.
If it is, it's called something else.
Yeah.
So, some other things we got here in the room is we got a hat, we got a set of boots, and I wondered if you could tell me a little bit about the birth and evolution of your personal style and aesthetic. Like, did you already have a look when you were coming up in Cincinnati?
Yeah. Well, the first look I had, I didn't really create, because my mother would take me to the Goodwill, and we all, my brother, my sister, and myself, we would have to pick clothes, to go to school in. And so they never matched, or they were never cool clothes, and so when I wore that stuff, the other kids who didn't have nothing either would laugh, and I finally found out how to laugh at this mess myself, and once I figured out, man, this shit, it is looking kind of weird, and I think that's what got me used to messing with the fashion thing, because I loved the entertainment look. I mean, how, Little Richard, Elvis, Sly, all these mugs was coming out, and they was the bomb. I mean, and then you got the pimps, like Real Fly and Superfly was out around it. So, we all looking up to, like, man, we gotta not only just play, we gotta be fly. So that's the first thing that introduced me to being fly, was hanging around my brother and his friends. Because when they went and performed, they would have these tight suits on. I mean, it would just be like, wow, and I'm looking like, I got this junk on, and, I'm going to school in this crap, and my head though is on what they're wearing. And it's like, if I could ever, get my hands on $1 or $2, I'm gonna be like that, And so I think that's the first thing that kind of kicked me off into, I gotta be wild. And then, the hippie thing came in when I was coming up. So I got a chance to absorb a lot of different things, and then tripping on LSD gave me another perspective. Like, I don't want to just wear suits. When I got with James Brown, it was like, that's what we had to wear. Everybody had to be alike, but coming up, we went through different phases. It was like the phase I was coming through was, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. And so, it's like everybody started trying to do their own thing. And pretty much they were doing it. But I wanted to take it even further. And so when I hooked up again with George and Parliament Funkadelic, that gave me the license to go ahead and funk till you can't funk no more, and just go as far as you can go. And so that's where I was at then, and that's where I'm at now, more so in a visual way than just physically, if that makes sense.
So would you design your own clothes, or would you work with somebody? How did you not only you found your aesthetic, but how do you keep the clothes coming?
Just like you said, I don't know if I found somebody or whether they found me. I think it's a combination of both, because once they see me on stage, they had their own vision of, wow, this fool is, is doing, crazy stuff. I mean, I'd like to work with him. Larry Legaspi in New York, who does Kiss, and all this stuff, he came to a couple of the shows, and he was like, man, I'd love to, and he said, let me show you a few things. And then he would show me, this design, that design, and then we would work together and figure out, okay, now I like it, And the leather stuff was Tom the Leather Man, who's out of Detroit. The same thing. I would go out to his house, and I'd take a drawing, and we'd sit there, mess with it, pull the collar up a little more, put a few more studs down here, and we talk it out. He was so good, there it was. In a week, 2 weeks at the longest. It was always about a week, for him to do that, and he'd do all of it by hand. I mean, leather, and that was my thing when we first started, was that leather, because I love riding bikes, and I just love that whole look, and so even on the first album, that first outfit was leather. I'll never forget it. Tom the Leather Man didn't make that one. That was the very first one, which Calvin made from LA. He had a store right on the corner of Sunset and, oh man, I can't think of that little street. But he's the one that put them tails on it. If you look at that album, you'll see the leather that I got on, and it's got that whole thing, with the studs, and yeah, that was Calvin. He made that. Dr. Funkenstein, he made that outfit. So we started to find 2 or 3 people that wasn't like all California, all New York, we funked it up, and they wanted the opportunity to work and, put their vision on it, So it was a good thing. It was just like another musician, but it was an artist, doing that design and putting things together. So, yeah, it worked out real good.
What about the top hat? What are the top hats?
Oh,
How many top hats do you have, by the way?
I never get. How many top hats do I have?
Thousands? We talking thousands?
I don't. Where did that girl go? She here?
We have lots of them.
How many? I mean, have you thought to count them?
No.
Well,
Because they're all lined up. And
that's a journey. Yeah, we'll start on that one. We'll check that out.
So, tell me about the evolution of the space base. We got one behind us. I think it's the latest edition.
Oh yeah, that's the public edition. That's the one that was released to the public. Warwick, that's one of the Warwick space bases, and they kind of talked me into it's time to let it go, man. Because my whole thing was, I'm the only one that got a space base, man. I'm the only one that got this pedal board like this. Because I started, okay, I know we on the space base, but the pedal board thing, there was no pedal boards. A mug would, at the most, a bass player would have maybe a pedal, And then when I came in the picture, a pedal board, a bass player with a pedal board, no, But I did it anyway. I had about 5, 6 pedals, and and I still got the pedal board. That's the other thing. So I'm glad Patty didn't find that. Yeah. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. But but that's the kind of stuff that I just cherish, because first of all, it's the only one of its kind. The space base is what I imagine in my head, but it wasn't just the design of it as a star. It was what it was gonna sound like, And that's the reason everybody on 48th Street turned me down with making the space base. I was in New York looking for somebody to make it, And everybody I went to, it had to do with something because I was a youngster and I'm out here just rapping, because I hadn't made it, And so they felt like it's just a one-off, But then, after a couple of years, Mug started seeing it, and then they'll start approaching about making it, But I was like, I'm the only one gonna have this, And so it worked out. It couldn't have worked out better than the way it worked out, because now I'm cool with, okay, let's let somebody make one, and see what it, and test it out and see if it meets the standards. So that's what we did.
So as they evolved, did you still draw? I heard you drew the first one on a napkin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it just the first one, or did you continue doing that?
That's what I did. Yeah. Continue. Well, that was I did that with the clothing too, just drawing whatever I got to draw on. Just draw it on that, but then I did advance a little bit and got me a little notebook and start drawing stuff in that. But I never got away from that. Patty will tell you, it's books and books and books of not only lyrics, art, that I draw, stuff that I drew for the stage that wind up being on stage. So, it's just tons and tons of stuff, and I gotta double check the girl because, I gotta see what she's doing, I didn't know it was that serious until I came over here, doing
What?
Now that I know she's giving up the recipes.
Well, I mean, that bass, like you said, is, I don't know if mass produced is the right word, but
Yeah.
a couple hundred of them at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I got something else to show you. If you could tell me,
Oh my
if you could tell
God.
me what this is once I sit down.
Yeah. Wow. This was the album that was done in 1979, I believe it was. Man. And the song was about hot, I need a fan. Blow dry me, baby. He wants to be cool, but I'm hot. And so with the people in the audience, somebody threw one of these up on the stage, and it wasn't as it was just a one-sided thing with a fork, not a fork, a knife, and they threw it up on stage, and I was like, man, check this out, and it went right with the record, and so it was all about let's mass produce this for the audience, and that's what we did. We threw them out, and this was actually the album, but we had to think of stupid ways to promote, and and George and I was definitely into self-promoting, because if we hadn't have been, Muggs wouldn't have knew, nothing about, none of our, like artistic, this kind of stuff. It's like the videos before the concerts and the comic books and the album, all of that stuff, that was like gold to us. That was just like the music, it's like a whole nother avenue. And we love to do it, And so this was the funk. You got a plastic knife and you got a card with Bootsy on it. This boot is made for funkin'. And you can't get no funkier than this. Hot, you need a fan. Blow dry me, baby. That's what this is all about.
So those would come to the fans from the stage. They'd be thrown out to the fans from the stage.
Yeah. This is, and then we was doing a whole lot of record store, what do you call
In-store promo.
In-store promo. That's it. So with doing all of that, we didn't have no internet, so we had to actually be there in front of people and do this stuff. We had to promote whatever we were doing, because a lot of the radio wasn't playing us, we was too funky, we was too nasty, Rick came up, they started playing him, and when Prince broke out, it was like, no radio play for these boys. These boys are too nasty. And it was cool because we was all about the funk. All about the funk.
Well, your cult figures, nobody could ever say Parliament, Funkadelic sold out or did anything to cater to the taste.
Did not cater. I mean, and it was a joy to be able to do something. It's kind of like making the first Spacebase, owning it, and people hating it, people loving it, and people hating it because it worked, But that's what we had to go through, and we stood our ground, and it was a lot of fun, and at the end, towards the end, it was a little sad because we started losing people, but overall, these things made us who we are.
Who's the artist that drew that
Overton
album?
Lloyd. You know, he was the cat. Him and my boy with the did all the Funkadelic stuff. How can you forget Pedro Bell? How can you? I mean, you know, I mean this cat, he was to the art what Funkadelic was to music. You know, it just, you know, you can't take one without the other. They just fit. You know, and it was, you know, everything was sent to us. I mean, you know, it wasn't like you had to be out there looking for it. You know, with the funk, it just came. You know, it wasn't like I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, and I need to write down what I need and put it out there. You know, we didn't have to do none of that. It was like everybody just came. And next thing you know, bang, it was on the road, you know, Earth Tour.
So the last thing is, I mean, for the equipment, we could use the Starbase, right? But in case you have something to say, we didn't even know this would be here, but there's a Farfisa organ from the 60s.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right behind
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you could tell us about
The
that?
the Farfisa album,
Yeah, let me take this one.
the Farfisa album, not album, the Farfisa organ. Man, back in the 60s, that's when it really, you know, it really took off. You know, like the British invasion, all the mugs had them. You know, American artists started using them, and Bernie just loved, you know, he loved it because it was portable, you know, and you got those no other organ sounds like that, you know. That and the RMI, which I kept the RMI until lightning struck the barn, and that's a whole nother story. But I was able to save this one, you know. And so that organ went through Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy's Rubber Band. After Bootsy's Rubber Band, it was in the studio. We just used it in the studio.
That one right there?
Yeah, yeah. And the same kind of thing happened to it, because we didn't have this place when we first moved out here. So we had to store them in our garage or wherever we could store it, you know, up at the other house. And so water got in, you know, the basement flooded. And so that was one of the pieces of the equipment that got flooded, and we never got it fixed. So
whoever takes that is gonna have to figure out how to fix it.
Well, it's that, and it's this guy that we know knows how to fix. I mean, he has fixed a couple of the other keyboards that we got. He has fixed them, and we had to find him. He's out in LA. So, yeah.
Not specifically. Well, we talked about the development of the hat being part of his look, and then we talked about the style in general. As far as these two, I mean, if we could bring them into the shot, if you want to look at them, as far as what these, because these are the only clothing pieces that we have.
Yeah.
If you want to look at them and say anything about them,
Yeah.
I suppose that could help.
These are two different time periods, I think.
Yeah. Well, this we figured out. Patty told us it's from 1990.
Yeah. This was my whole, you know, kind of like after the new wave thing started.
Lift them up.
Oh.
We can't see them.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of like, you know, the punk rock era, you know, around in there. And, you know, I was going to those clubs. And like I said, riding bikes, this was the thing, you know. And so it fitted all the kind of stuff I like to do away from just playing music and being on stage. this fit the way I would love to look, with the leather jacket, the pants with the fringes, or, that whole look. I just loved it, man. These thick soles, then, you're riding a bike and, you just, you're cool. You got these boys on. Plus, you can kick somebody in the face. We didn't do that in the video. But yeah, man, but you know what's really deep is I never paid attention to how heavy they are, and I picked up the Spacebase the other day, and it was like, dang, this mug is heavy. I'm jumping around on stage for I don't know how many years with these kind of heavy boots, but even bigger because they got the serious platform, and it's like, dang, I had no idea this stuff was that heavy, and but that's all, I guess, goes with that growth and the energy that we had, in those days, and that hat was made out of duct tape. Yeah.
Can you take these from you?
Let's do the best there.
What was deep about this hat was, we were talking to some people that own duct tape, and they wanted to do something, creative. They suggested a Bootsy top hat. They wanted to make one for us. So they didn't make one, they made a few of them. And this one is the one I wore in New York. We was doing some kind of fashion thing along with music, and this is the one I wore. It's duct tape. And I thought that was pretty cool. I got a jacket. I don't know, Patty, did you reveal the jacket too?
Am I allowed to?
We didn't see it.
Oh my God. Y'all didn't see it? Maybe I'm talking too much.
Actually, there's another top hat.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's
I blew so much. I've kept so much stuff.
So I will bring that to
That'll
you.
work.
So this one is made from duct tape.
Yeah.
It's made from duct tape.
It's made from
Made
duct
from
tape.
duct
But Elope made that one, darling.
The hat.
The hat.
Right.
But the one that you have upstairs. Huh? Can't you want to come with me? This is so exciting. Wait till you see this hat, right?
Oh God. Good
I have
Lord.
an outfit too. Well, I don't ever mind.
Well, where is it at?
I have to.
Hey, tell her, cause she'll go up there all day looking. Yeah, they did cover the other hat. That's what I thought. They covered that. This is the duct tape, the new duct tape that they had. Yeah. And they did all these different colors of duct tape. Yeah. And the outfit is, even if she don't find it right now, it's the same color. It's basic black, and then it's got these different colors, I think it's on the shoulders, It's just pretty cool.
So every day you see a hat made out of duct tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
that's that one.
Shooting
Okay.
this stuff.
Yeah.